thought I could beat him, so tried not to look too much of what the fight would present to me when I win, but just focusing on the fight itself and setting a good game plan and then just sticking to it. Not really. I like the belt. Really, it's not that. I like the matchups. You know, styles make fights, and I like the different challenges that I just try and be the same. Just another fight. Nothing more than just trying to.
Jack Della Maddalena has made it clear he is not coming to play games ahead of his fight with Islam Makhachev. The rising welterweight star sent a strong message that he is ready to test the champion like never before. With confidence and sharp words, JDM is putting pressure on Islam before they even step inside the cage.
Fought Volk here, and that was an incredible event. And I think just to add on to that, give someone else a shot at Makhachev.
Jack acknowledged Islam's track record at lightweight, giving him credit for the run he's had. But at the same time, there was this sense that Islam might be hungry for more, wanting to push into a second division.
Islam's the match. I think that's what they want to do. He had a good run at lightweight, and I think he's keen to try and capture a second belt, so I think that's
He even brought up how Islam fought Volkanovski and how big of a moment that turned out to be. Mentioning that seemed deliberate, almost as if he was placing himself in that same storyline. The way he said it, it felt like he was positioning himself as the next chapter in that ongoing saga, the one who deserves his shot to test Islam on a big stage.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the absolute dream, you know, first. And I think it's a good story, you know, Makhachev fought Volk here, and that was an incredible event. And I think just to add on to that, give someone else a shot at.
Finally, when asked if there's extra pressure now that he has the belt, he brushed it off. He said it's more about the matchups, how styles make fights, and how every opponent brings something new to figure out. That answer tied everything back to Islam in a subtle way, since it's clear that he views him as one of those unique challenges, but he's keeping it cool on the surface.
Any extra pressure? He's the champ, or are you just going about your business?
Not really. I like the belt. Really, it's not that. I like the matchups. You know, styles make fights, and I like the different challenges that every different fighter presents. So I'm just excited to get in there, and I just try and be the same. Just another fight. Nothing more than just trying to prepare and beat the person in front of me.
After JDM had put Islam's name into the mix, Elijah Smith didn't hesitate when asked who he thought would win. He went straight with Islam, and the way he broke it down showed exactly why. In his eyes, Bilal's problem has been drifting away from what works best for him. Elijah pointed to the Jack fight, saying Bilal seemed more interested in proving he could trade punches than in actually fighting to his strengths. That decision, he felt, cost him a better performance. He even compared it to Bilal's fight with Leon Edwards, where sticking to his bread and butter gave him a stronger chance. Instead of repeating that, Bilal went out like he had something to prove, when, as the champ, he didn't need to.
I want to say Islam, and the reason why I say Islam is because I feel like Bilal, he went out there when he fought Jack, and he went out there trying to prove the fans that he can strike, which I think that kind of hurt him. I feel like if Bilal went out there and did what he did to what's his name, Leon Edwards, I think he probably would have had a better chance of getting the win. But it seemed like he just wanted to show people that he had with Canelo hands, which sometimes you don't need to prove. You don't need to prove anybody anything. You're the champion. You don't have to prove anything to somebody who's.
That's where Elijah made the contrast clear. He sees Islam as the kind of fighter who never gets caught up in trying to show off or prove anything extra. Islam just goes back to what he does best, grinding with takedowns over and over until the other guy breaks. Elijah described it as that Khabib-like pressure, constant and hard to escape. And because of that, he said outright that Islam would be the one to take the win if they faced each other.
And fight your game. If they stop it, then we move on to something different. But I think Islam is that type of guy where he's not going to be scared to take you down or shoot repetitively, almost in that Khabib-esque type of feel. But I guess we'll see. You know what they say, styles make fights.
Right after Elijah leaned toward Islam, Julius Walker gave a very different take. He said he actually favors JDM in that matchup, and the first reason he brought up was the weight. In his view, Islam hasn't had the proper time to put on size for welterweight. The fight with Bilal and JDM only wrapped up a couple of months ago, and Julius pointed out that there's no way Islam could have built real muscle in such a short window. That, he felt, leaves a gap in size that would work against him.
One that you're asking me is my coaches and I, and the guys I'm down here with, we had a little bit of an argument about this one. I actually have taken JDM in that fight just due to the fact that, for one, I think a lot of people aren't thinking enough about the fact that Islam's moving up on this weight in really short notice. Because as far as I know, Islam was waiting for the results of the Bilal and JDM fight. And that fight was like 2 months ago, or 3 months ago or something like that. So it's like, it's not like he's had a bunch of time to move up to welterweight. There's no way he's put on any real muscle. Like, he might have put on like 2 pounds of muscle in the amount that he hasn't had any time to do so. So I think there's going to be a size difference.
From there, he pushed the question back on those who automatically see Islam as the favorite. He asked if people really think Islam can beat JDM on the feet, because in his mind, that's not realistic. He even compared Islam's grappling to Bilal's, saying it isn't like Islam is so much stronger than the current welterweight champion, who has beaten everyone except JDM. For Julius, that made it easier to picture JDM being the one to pull it off.
And then if you think that Islam's winning, my question is like, do you think he's going to beat JDM on the feet? Because I don't see that happening. And then I don't understand why people because I feel like they're going to put Islam as the favorite, but it's like, dude, you mean to tell me Islam's that much better of a grappler than Bilal? You know what I mean? The 170-pound champion of the world who defeated literally everybody other than JDM. So I definitely actually can see JDM win.
He wrapped it up by pointing to JDM's own advantages. Bigger, longer, stronger, and with Craig Jones in his corner, Julius felt that the training setup gave JDM tools to stop takedowns and land his shots. He even reminded everyone how close Islam's fight with Volkanovski was when Volk had a full camp, hinting that JDM could push it further. In the end, Julius said straight up that he sees JDM winning, which would send Islam back down to defend his belt at lightweight against Sarukian.
In that fight. And another reason I can see JDM winning that fight is the last Australian that had training from Craig Jones, the Islam fight, when he fought Volkanovski. Volkanovski won on a full camp. It was a real close fight, and JDM's just a different animal, bigger, longer, stronger. So I actually think JDM's going to win that fight. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns and land the shots on the feet, and I think he's actually going to claim that victory, and then I think that means that we're going to get Islam going back down to fight Topuria, which is what...
After Julius had backed JDM, Craig Jones was asked about the same fight, and his answer carried that same confident tone. He admitted it's a tough matchup, but he actually sees this one being a real problem for Islam. He pointed back to the first Volkanovski fight, saying Islam struggled in certain grappling exchanges there. For Craig, that matters a lot because Jack brings a very different, very unorthodox style on the ground that's hard to prepare for.
How do you think the fight against Islam goes?
I think it's a super difficult fight for Islam, this one. He's like, obviously he's faced Volk twice. We'll forget about the second one, but the first one, very competitive with the grappling. And now we're talking about he's facing a guy that's some of the best scrambling ability, I think, period, in all of MMA, and some of the most unorthodox grappling. And I think that's what Bilal struggled with. Bilal really just sticks to a...
He talked about how Bilal tends to stick to a strict blueprint, and while that works, it doesn't bring the kind of surprises Jack can create. Craig pointed to things like off balances and grip breaks, saying that kind of creativity makes Jack dangerous in ways Islam might not expect. And on top of that, he underlined the size factor. In his eyes, Jack is going to be noticeably bigger, which could tilt the fight in his favor.
The blueprint obviously works very well, but in terms of creativity in what Bilal does, I think it's pretty strict. Jack, as you saw in that fight, some of his off balances and grip breaks and some of the things he does, it's really hard to prepare for that. So I think like Islam, the size difference is going to be quite a lot bigger than people think. And we've seen how Volk did on the ground and how much Islam struggled with him in the grappling exchanges. And having seen Jack and Volks work together, seeing the skill sets, like this is.
Craig made it clear he's very confident in Jack. He said the UFC probably loves this matchup because it gives them the kind of striking heavy fight they want. But for him, the bigger story is how Jack's style could expose Islam.
Is a perfect one. The UFC want guys that stand and bang. I'm trying to still help them out, even though potentially
So
enemies.
you feel confident about
Yeah,
this one?
very, very confident for this one.
You think Islam stays at 170 after this, or do you think he goes back down?
I mean, yeah, good question. I don't know what he's weighing. Like, I think he was posting that he was pretty light, so I'm not sure how he's going to deal with that size difference. I think, obviously, worst case scenario, he goes out ragdolls, potentially submits Jack. I think he's probably going to stay.
You think Ilya beats him?
Who knows with that guy? That guy surprises me every time, eh?
He's incredible, right?
Yeah, I was too hard on him at the beginning. I think I watched some of his fights and just didn't think he was that good. And then, like, I was like, oh, all right. God damn.
When it came to Sean Brady, instead of just brushing it off as another title defense, he pointed out why this matchup could be way more complicated for Islam than people think. He sees Jack as someone who doesn't stay stuck for long and makes you work for every second on the mat. Brady also touched on how Jack's size and power add another layer of danger. It's not just about taking him down, it's about keeping him there, and that's where things can get messy. Brady compared how different opponents have tried controlling Jack and noted how tricky it really is to stop him from getting back on his feet. Of course,
speaking of the Islam and Jack fight, what are your early thoughts on that fight?
I think it's a lot tougher of a fight for Islam than people are giving Jack credit for. Like, Jack's very hard to hold down. He's a big body, hits like a freight train, has knockout power, and he showed, like, yeah, you can getting someone down doesn't mean dick. Can you hold them down? Jack's really good at creating scrambles, getting back to his feet, separating hands. Like, we've seen that with Bilal. Gilbert did better at taking Jack down than Bilal did. He had better positions on him.
Brady has his own personal reasons for paying close attention. He admitted he'd love to test his grappling against Islam someday, which is why he's watching this fight closely. But when it comes to picking a side, he leans toward Jack. Not because he doesn't respect Islam, but because he feels Jack's style might just be the problem Islam hasn't had to face yet.
But yeah, I don't know. Selfishly for me, I would want Islam to win because I want to fight Islam as for a legacy thing yet. And I think I can beat Islam. I think I can beat anybody in the world. And I want to grapple. I want my grappling to go against his grappling and see who's better. You know, I really would love for that to play out. But if I had to pick, and I know Jack would be the underdog.
Coming off Brady's take, another voice that stood out was Luke Thomas. For Thomas, Islam versus Jack is the right fight at the right time. He emphasized how JDM has leveled up, particularly in the way he handles pressure and takedowns, noting how much sharper his defense has become. Having Craig Jones fully in his corner, this camp adds even more intrigue, since we've already seen how that partnership paid off in earlier fights.
We'll see what happens. Getting back to the fight itself, an absolutely sensational fight, the right one to make. Listen, we all want to see Islam versus Ilya. I don't know what this fight will do or not for it. Again, we don't have any outcome yet, obviously, but this is a sensational contest. JDM looks to me massively improved. We talked about the issues heading into the fight with Bilal Muhammad, where he had second order get-up ability, but he didn't have great down blocking, meeting takedowns. When your opponent makes contact with you, greeting them at the point of contact with defense, and he got way better about it. Plus his get-ups also got a lot better. And if you actually listen to his coach on Submission Radio, what he says is they only worked with Craig Jones for a few weeks last time. Now they're going to get him for basically the entire camp. Dude, JDM is a formidable talent that Islam is going up.
At the same time, Thomas didn't shy away from pointing out the unknowns. Islam moving up to 170 means new questions about size, strength, and how his game translates without the same kind of weight cut he endured at 155. For someone who rarely makes mistakes and usually stays a step ahead, how he adapts at welterweight is one of the big mysteries hanging over this matchup.
However, Islam, whose career is not blemish-free, but in general has proven, and especially in this more senior role, to just make excellent decisions, defensively sound everywhere, doesn't get hit clean. I mean, again, obviously he's got that one loss, but in general, what the record shows is that he doesn't get hit super clean. We don't know how he's going to adjust to 70 pounds, 170 pounds, given he's moving up. He did have some problems, not making weight, but like what the weight cut did to him in order to make 55. So it'll be very curious to see what the size differential is, such that there is one. It'll be very curious to see what the added bulk does for Islam, what the lesser weight cut does for Islam. These are things we don't know, but it's going to be really, really interesting.
Thomas also hinted at what's on the line beyond just the belt. If Islam wins, it sparks debates about whether he reclaims the pound-for-pound spot. If Jack defends successfully, it instantly becomes the defining win of his career and a massive moment for Australian MMA. Both outcomes carry weight, and Thomas framed it as a clash that goes beyond the cage.
Something like that to Della Maddalena, and for a guy like Islam, if he can go up to the next weight class and get a belt, does he reclaim the top pound for pound spot? There's going to be some debate over that, but it's certainly going to be a question that you have to wrestle with. Meanwhile, Della Maddalena, a guy who has always been highly regarded, but they didn't know exactly what the upside would be, especially after the Basel Hafez fight. What are we really going to get with this guy? And, kind of went in tooth and nail with Kevin Holland. Shows up big against Bilal Muhammad. Dude, if you get a win over Islam Makhachev, that's easily the best win of your career. That would be his first title defense. That would be an enormous feather in his cap. A huge win for Australia.
All eyes are now on how this matchup will play out. Will JDM's speed and composure be enough to test Islam in ways we haven't seen before? Or will Islam's control and strength once again prove too much? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below.